She laughed. "You'll never be enough for me." I smiled. I, 34 male, was sitting in my own living room at 3:14 p.m. on a Wednesday when the woman I had been married to for 7 years, Jessica, looked me in the eyes and said those words like she was spitting poison. Her voice was sharp, like she had rehearsed it in front of a mirror. The sunlight was streaming in through the blinds, dust floating in the air, and my phone buzzed on the coffee table. I ignored it. My ears were ringing from what she had just said. "You'll never be enough for me." And instead of shouting, instead of breaking down, I smiled. Because by that point, I already had proof. 2 months before that day, I started noticing the cracks. I worked as a project manager for a logistics company. Long hours, but I was always home by 6:30 p.m. Jessica was a nurse at St. Mary's Hospital. She'd come home smelling like antiseptic and cafeteria coffee. But lately, she had been working late every Thursday. At first, I didn't question it. Then one night, at 10:42 p.m., I texted her. "Everything okay? You said you'd be home by..." She replied 3 minutes later. "Yeah, emergency shift. Don't wait up." But when I checked our shared bank account the next morning, there was a $62 charge at a bar called the Copper Mug at 9:11 p.m. That wasn't anywhere near St. Mary's. My stomach sank. I didn't accuse her right away. Instead, I called my friend Tyler, who runs a small private security business. I asked him, "Do you know any PIs that won't cost me an arm and a leg?" He gave me a number. 2 days later, I met Rachel, a private investigator at a diner. She had short brown hair, mid-40s, tough voice like she'd seen everything. She said, "If she's cheating, I'll get you the proof. Photos, times, everything." I paid her $500 retainer in cash. Jessica thought I was meeting Tyler for drinks that night. I sat in my car afterwards staring at the receipt. My hands shook, but not from guilt, from anticipation. Over the next 3 weeks, Rachel fed me information like slow poison. On May 12, 8:37 p.m., Jessica met a man at the Copper Mug. His name was Mark. Married, 39, works in insurance. They sat at the bar, her hand on his knee. Rachel showed me the photo, grainy but undeniable. On May 19th, they checked into the Holiday Inn off Route 46, room 10:12 p.m. I saw the timestamp on the photo of them walking into the lobby together, Jessica holding his arm like they were a couple. I didn't confront her. I let it build. I started documenting everything. I kept a folder on my laptop called Project J. Every receipt, every screenshot of her working late texts, every photo Rachel gave me. By the time June rolled around, the folder was almost 2 gigabytes. The day Jessica told me I'd never be enough, it was after I had asked her if she wanted to go on a trip with me in July. Just a week in Florida, beaches, sun, resetting. She laughed, actually laughed in my face. Then she said it. "You'll never be enough for me." I smiled, and I said calmly, "Good to know." She looked thrown off, like she expected me to yell or beg. Instead, I got up, went to the kitchen, and poured myself a glass of water. My hands didn't even shake. Inside, though, my heart was pounding like a drum. Because the very next day, I had an appointment with a divorce lawyer. Her name was Linda Martinez. Sharp suit, mid-50s. One of those lawyers who wastes no words. I sat in her office at 9:02 a.m. on Thursday with the Project J folder on a flash drive. I handed it to her. She plugged it in, clicked through the photos, raised her eyebrows once, then leaned back in her chair. "Mr. Daniels," she said, "you're sitting on gold." She explained that in our state, proof of infidelity could swing alimony and even division of assets. We didn't have kids, but we had a house together, and she had racked up almost $14,000 in credit card debt on shopping and vacations. Linda told me, "If you stay calm and you play this right, she's gonna walk away with a lot less than she thinks." So I stayed calm. Over the next few weeks, I let Jessica think nothing had changed. I still kissed her on the cheek when she left for her late shifts. I even cooked dinner on Fridays. She looked at me like I was an idiot, like she was getting away with murder. I could practically hear the contempt dripping from her voice when she said, "Don't wait up." Meanwhile, Rachel kept delivering. On June 23rd, she got a photo of Jessica and Mark leaving a motel at 7:48 a.m. Jessica had told me She was on an overnight at the hospital. The lie was paper thin now. I printed everything, put it in a neat binder. Dates, times, receipts, photos. By July it was over 100 pages thick. Then came the day I pulled the pin. Jessica walked in the door, purse slung over her shoulder, smiling like she had just won the lottery. I was sitting at the dining table with the binder in front of me. She kissed me on the cheek and said, "Sorry I'm late, babe. Long shift." I slid the binder across the table. She frowned, flipped it open, saw the first photo of her with Mark. Her face drained of color. She flipped another page, another photo, another receipt. "What the hell is this?" she whispered. "That's you," I said calmly. "With Mark. Room 2114 at the Holiday Inn." The copper mug. June 23rd, July 2nd, July 8th. All of it. "You've been busy." She slammed the binder shut. "You've been spying on me?" I said no. "I've been documenting the truth. There's a difference." She stood there, shaking, eyes darting like a trapped animal. "You don't get to do this to me," she snapped. "Actually," I said, "I do. My lawyer will be in touch tomorrow." She went pale. "You wouldn't." I smiled again. "You already told me I'd never be enough for you. So let's make it official." That night she stormed out, drove off in her car, didn't come back until 2:17 a.m. I didn't wait up. The next morning, I was in Linda's office at 8:59 a.m., binder in hand. She filed for divorce that same day. We served Jessica the papers at work. The look on her face when the process server walked into St. Mary's cafeteria, handed her the envelope, and said, "You've been served." Rachel caught it on camera. Jessica's mouth actually dropped open. Nurses whispered around her. She looked like the ground had given way beneath her. But that was just the beginning. Because what I didn't know yet was that Mark's wife, Allison, was about to call me. 2 days after Jessica got served, I was sitting on my porch sipping coffee at exactly 7:12 a.m. when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something in me said to pick it up. "Hello?" I answered. A woman's voice came through, calm but tight. "Is this Daniel, Jessica's husband?" I froze. "Who's asking?" "This is Allison. I'm Mark's wife." For a second, my heart stopped. Then, I remembered Rachel's notes. "Mark, insurance guy, married." I said slowly, "Yeah, I'm Daniel." She took a deep breath. "I think our spouses are sleeping together." I almost laughed at the absurdity. Instead I said, "I don't think." "I know. I've got over 100 pages of proof." There was silence. Then Allison whispered, "Thank God." I thought I was going crazy. We agreed to meet that afternoon at a coffee shop off Main Street. 3:45 p.m. I walked in, binder under my arm. She was sitting in the corner booth, blonde hair pulled back, early 40s, eyes red like she hadn't slept. She looked up at me and said, "Show me." I slid the binder across. She flipped through page after page, hands trembling. She stopped at the motel photo, her lips pressed into a hard line. "That's his shirt," she muttered. "He told me. He was on a work trip that night." I nodded. "Jessica told me. She was at the hospital." We sat there like two detectives swapping case files. Finally, Allison looked up. "We need to work together. If we coordinate, they won't see it coming." I agreed. We exchanged numbers. She left with copies of the photos. That night, at 9:11 p.m., Jessica called me from her car. "You met her?" she screamed. I kept my voice calm. "Allison called me. We compared notes. You and Mark are finished." She let out this ugly laugh. "You think you're so smart? You'll get nothing. I'll take the house, the car, everything." I replied matter-of-factly, "That's a personal problem. My lawyer says otherwise." Then I hung up. Over the next week, things got messy. Jessica tried to clean out our joint account. $4,300 gone in one transfer. Luckily, Linda had warned me. I'd already moved the bulk of the money into a separate account in my name. All she got was scraps. When she realized it, she texted me at 11:58 p.m. "Are you kidding me?" I didn't reply. Meanwhile, Allison played her part brilliantly. She filed for divorce the same day I did. She sent Mark's boss the motel receipts and photos. Turns out, his company had a morality clause in his contract. Within days, he was put on administrative leave. By July 30th, he was unemployed. Jessica kept trying to fight dirty. She showed up at my office one afternoon at 23 p.m., tears streaming down her face, wailing, "How could you do this to me?" My coworkers stared as I calmly said, "Jessica, you did this to yourself. Please leave." She screamed, "You'll regret this," before storming out. The next week, Linda called me. "Good news. Given the proof, the judge is leaning toward awarding you the house outright. She'll be responsible for her own debt." I sat there in stunned silence. "You're saying she walks away with nothing?" Linda chuckled. "Not nothing. She gets her clothes, her car, and her dignity, if she can find it." On August 14th, the court hearing took place. Jessica sat across from me, makeup caked on, hands gripping her lawyer's arm like a lifeline. Mark was in the back row, looking like a deflated balloon. Allison sat next to me, calm and collected. The judge reviewed the evidence binder for maybe 15 minutes before slamming it shut. Given the overwhelming documentation of infidelity, the court finds in favor of Mr. Daniel. The marital home, primary savings account, and all joint assets are awarded to him. Mrs. Daniels is solely responsible for her credit card debt. Jessica gasped. "That's not fair." The judge stared at her. "Fair? You breached the trust of your marriage repeatedly. Consider this the consequence." She broke down crying right there. Mark wouldn't even look at her. When it was over, Allison and I walked out together. She turned to me and said, "We did it. They thought we were weak. Turns out, we were stronger than both of them combined." I nodded. "Sounds like consequences." The fallout hit Jessica hard. She moved into a tiny one-bedroom apartment across town. Rumor was she picked up extra shifts, just to keep up with rent. She tried texting me once more. On September 3rd at 2:07 a.m., "I made a mistake. Please talk to me." I didn't respond. Meanwhile, I thrived. I refinanced the house in my name, painted the living room, adopted a rescue dog named Max. At 34, I felt like I had been given a second life. Tyler came over one weekend, clapped me on the shoulder, and said, "Man, you handled this like a pro." Calm, collected. She never saw it coming. He was right. The last twist came in November. I was grocery shopping 5:26 p.m. on a Saturday, when I ran into Mark in the parking lot. He looked 10 years older, hair thinning, suit wrinkled. He muttered, "Thanks for ruining my life." I smiled. "I didn't ruin your life, Mark. You did. I just documented it." Then I walked away. Now it's been almost a year. Allison and I keep in touch. We're not dating, just two survivors who check in once in a while. Jessica, last I heard, she left the hospital and moved 2 states over. Some people never learn. To the Redditors who followed this whole thing, thank you. Your comments reminded me I wasn't crazy for staying calm. I know the story sounds unreal, but every timestamp, every photo, every receipt, it all happened. And Jessica, if you're still you once laughed and said I'd never be enough for you. Turns out, I was more than enough. Enough to beat you at your own game. Enough to walk away stronger, and enough to smile while watching you lose everything you tried to take from me. Edit. For those asking, yes, I kept the bind. Sometimes when I doubt myself, I flip through it, not to relive the pain, but to remind myself how far I've come. Max, the rescue dog, just turned 3. Best decision I ever made. A lot of you asked if I ever regretted not screaming at her that day. Honestly, no. My smile was louder than any words could have been.